This is a MercyGirl Production.
Formula mouthwash is activated, making it your best defense against bad breath and gingivitis. Each rinse provides 12 hours of fresh breath protection, plus alcohol-free smart mouth won't make your dry mouth worse. So protect yourself from bad breath and gingivitis day and night.
Retro Fitness has been value engineered to help you jump from startup to profitability as quickly as possible. And if you check that out right now, there's a huge demand for high-value, low-cost gym memberships, and Retro Fitness has over 100 gyms open already. With a proven brand like Retro Fitness, you're poised to meet the burgeoning demand immediately.
Let's go, Retro! Using dial-up internet service instead of Wi-Fi, and passing time between mile markers with 4 stations on the radio. Thousands.
Mac T here, and today we're going to be changing out the rear shocks for my 2008 Orange Crush Ford Edge, and I am going to be using Monroe shocks. They are the OES Spectrum Reflex shocks, and this is my choice. It's closest to OEM that I can get on them, so I don't go anything fancy with them, but I'm going to be changing them. These are them boxed up, and as far as opening the box, we got your basic shock that is coming with it. So we have the shock, and of course it's got the retaining strap on it and everything, and note that it mounts on one bolt down below, and then of course you got the rod that goes up through the body, and I will explain what we got to do as far as mounting the shocks on in the body. Now, as far as the parts you get inside the box, you of course get the rubber mounts for the top, and you got 2 of them there that go on, one below and one on top, and we'll of course have those mounted up on there, and then the bolt. But this is basically it, the OES Spectrum Reflex Monroe shocks. First you got to pull out the back cover out of your vehicle. This out and set this off to the side. Then you pull the styrofoam pieces out that you have in here, and this one is marked left. Then you pull this side out. Sticks in there a little bit, and this one's marked right, and it also has an arrow pointing to the front, so you can't get confused on it. Now the next step is you want to remove this back part of the tail liftgate area, so you can remove the quarter panels, but you got to remove this first. So it's real simple. You just pull up on it and it comes right off. It's got clips on here that actually seat down into these slots that are right here. So it's real simple. So just pull it off straight up. Shouldn't have any problems. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to take and remove this piece, and then you got a piece right back here. So you may have to climb up into the car, but you put this tool here and put it up underneath there, and you pry it up and loosen it up a little bit. And if you can't get it, then you can also pull on it a little bit. Try to pull it out like I did right there, and then you got that clip, and then you got to go back here and remove that one also. So you pry back up on this one, try to get it pulled out and pulled up, and it can be sometimes harder than anything else, but you may have to do, I'm going to have to lower the car a little bit so I can get in here. You're going to have to get in the car to actually remove that and wrangle this around, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now as you can see, we're going to get up underneath here. I'll get this bigger tool up and work it up underneath there. Try to get this popped out. Sometimes easier said than done, as they say. You got a little tab right here that is also going to cause you all sorts of problems. And you can take and pull it on the back like that, and then you can actually reach the shock that is right down here. So in reality, you don't have to pull the whole thing off. You just pull it back so you can actually reach it, and then prop it back with something to actually hold it back. So you really can just finagle it around, and you can actually just pull it back and then reach. The nut right here is all you're going to be looking for, and of course it was covered like so. But take that, move it back, and that there is the shock mount that we're trying to get to. Pretty amazing, but I went and got somebody else's garbage, and it just so happens that it will probably work pretty good to hold that back for me. So I got the light there, enough light, so I got this working. I'll be able to get the impact wrench on that to remove that shock, and I'm going to start by removing the tires first so that I can have better access to the actual mount below. Okay, just go ahead and remove the wheels. Now for a little bit of shock inspection. If you notice, if you're looking at this shock, you can see a little bit of a wet area right here. So this shock is definitely leaking. That being said, if we go to the other side, now we look at this shock here. This is a KYB, and this one is wet also all the way down. So this shock here on the left side, or driver's side, is also the seals are failing on it. So that's why I'm replacing them. Plus I had tire wear on the tires that was starting to cup. So that also is another indication that I have an issue with my rear shocks. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this here nut with the bolt, and then we're going to go up to the top and we're going to remove that, and then we can again insert, using the same nuts and fasteners, the shock for the left side, and we'll do the same thing over on the right side. And of course we get it off, and then we just pound that bolt through there, and we got our shock off. Of course it's got the little swivel bracket on here. Check and inspect the bolt, nut, all good shape. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Give it a little help out, and there we go. Go ahead and get on in here, and go ahead and remove this nut. That is as simple as it gets with that. And the shock. The shock, of course, falls right out. And keep in mind, you got the bottom part here. You got to remember to assemble. And then, of course, you have the top cushions on there. So that's all it is. And we're going to go ahead and install the new Monroe shocks. Okay, folks. This is what a 100,000 mile KYB shock looks like. It's probably a little bit on the worn side, so we're going to go ahead and get it replaced. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up the parts. As with all things, we will have all our parts and pieces that we need in order to do this. Again, you take your rubber mount and you place that on top of there, get it all situated. And then of course you got one nut that goes on there. I may put a second nut on there to hold it on there, because original actually had a keeper nut that was smaller that was actually on there. So I will probably reuse that just as a keeper to sort of tighten her up there and keep her from coming loose. All you simply do is you just take and get yourself a pair of wire cutters or dikes, clip it, and the shock will then expand. So when you go ahead and go put it in, you may have to finagle a little bit, but as you can see with the new shock, if you look at this, Remember the old shock? New shock. Okay, not much difference on them, but this one went down a little bit harder. So check and inspect your shock, make sure everything's in good shape, and then go ahead and put it on. What you simply do is you get your shock, locate the hole up in the top of the strut here, get it fed through best you can. Sometimes you gotta finagle it a little bit. Make sure you get it up through the hole, which I have done, and then you get it pushed back in here. Then you go ahead, line up your bolt in the back. On there, got the nut on there. So you got that all set in there. Now the big fat head was in the way, but got that, and we can put the nut on there. Again, you just pick, and I believe it's 18 foot-pounds of torque that you're going to torque this back to. I'm just going to wrench her on there good, get her nice and tight. So we're going to go up above, and we're going to take and put the nuts on the top of the shaft there. Got me a deeper socket here so I can get her cinched in. It's taking a little bit of effort, but getting it tightened up here, compressing. So you go ahead and you snug this up with the crescent, nice and tight, 18 foot-pounds of torque, all set. Now we got our shock on the right rear. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the left side. Okay, remember we use these tools to take and remove the back quarter panel. We've already gotten everything off of there, so we basically want to just try to release this one, get up underneath there, prop it out, and if it's anything like the other one, and then we could access this nut right back here. I'm not having much luck, so I'm going to go back to the air ratchet because it seemed to spin it off a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and use this because it's double nutted on there, and it's apparently having. So we'll get another one. Having a hard time with it spinning, so I'll get the air impact on it. We'll pull her right off. And it still doesn't want to, so I'm going to have to take and get something to hold that. Got her off. Took a little finesse. Thought I'd show you what I found. Looks like they cross-threaded it when they took and put it on. Not very nice of them. Anyway, we got it replaced. Again, same thing. We're just going to go ahead and use the cross cuts here. Clip that off. The shock, of course, will expand. Again, you just put the donut on there with the washer there, and then of course you'll slide it up through the back, through this part back here, and then of course, like I said, it has a recessed area, so put the wider one down, and then the washer on top of that with the nut, just like so you can sandwich in between. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll install the left side. Let's relocate it, feed the bolt through, slide this through, again down, and angle the bolt through the hole, get it up in there, we got it set. ahead and we'll put the nut back on here. Get that all cinched down. Get that all tightened up, ratchet her in. 18 foot-pounds of torque is, I believe, what they said. Nice and snug is basically the rule of the road for that one. Those of you who weren't paying attention, remember you got your electrical charge port right here, and there are wires back there, so you can't be stressing this and pulling this out too terribly far. I forgot to mention that, but the wires are back here. So just take it easy on it, and you shouldn't have any problem. I don't see any need to disconnect it, but just work carefully. That being said, we're going to go ahead and replace this one right here, get this nut back on here and with this donut, and we'll have it all set. So again, downside, get it set in there, get it seated, get the nut on there, and then we go ahead and tighten that down. And we'll use a hand ratchet for that again. And again, it is the 15 millimeter. We'll go ahead and tighten that down using the ratchet here. Now once you get it all tightened up, of course you check everything out, double check your work, and we'll go ahead and put this thing together as soon as I get this shock on the left rear tightened down, pressing. You don't want to squish it down too much. You want to have a little play with it, but you don't want it so that it's so loose that it's jiggling around in there either. So that's why you want to make sure it's nice and snug. And it's nice and compressed and tight. Got about an inch or so of shaft sticking out, so I think we're good to go on this one. This is also a good time to go ahead and check that spare. Make sure it's good, in good shape. Make sure that it's got air, snug. Check the back of your car for anything. You might find picnic supplies for your next lunch or soup. You never know. Clean it up a little bit, clean your car out. Of course, check everything out. Everything looks good. We go ahead and we're going to start buttoning it back up. So we'll go ahead and start doing that right now. Again, the process is simply nothing more than reversing what we did. Again, pull out our garbage that we had in there. Go ahead and put it back in place. Snap it back in. Just keep in mind you've got your rubber pieces here that you gotta get the back behind. So you may have to pull that out a little bit, or actually, and this part's going to be apparently the hard part. For some reason, not wanting to fit in there good. A little harder than it looks, I guess. But now we got everything pushed back into place. And we go over to the other side and we do the same thing. Just repeating. Go ahead and mount this side back up too. Remember, you got this tab down here, so get that all situated. Go ahead and pound everything back into place. Get it all back in there. Then of course you want to take your rubber gasket and work that back out so it's over the lip. All the way back up. So that seats in there good. Got her working out. Almost there. There. The grommets are all down into place. Then all you do is take your covering pieces here. Again, all you do is put them into place and snap them back in. Once you're done with that, then of course now you're ready to take and put the back part of it in. They are marked right and left, so all you have to do is look at it. It says front and it says right and left on it. So in this case, this is the front, and this one goes here, and then this is the front right, so this one goes over here. Go ahead and get them situated. Back into position. This is the part where you should really wash your hands. If you don't want to get the car dirty with my hands, but you go ahead and get the carpeting back in done. That is your rear shocks, and that is all you have to do in order to replace them. Now, I didn't have MercyGirl with me today because she had to go to work. That's called school. So anyway, but I will make sure that she has a little bit of say-so in this today because she really wanted to be here. But unfortunately, I had to get this done. So this is how you change out your rear shocks. Again, not that terribly hard, a little bit on the access side. Got to take these back quarter panels off, but they snap in and snap right out pretty easy. So it doesn't really cause you to have a long-term problem trying to get it. The only thing is, remember, you got to take and loosen just 2 bolts. That's it. And then just undo all these other pieces from the interior. So rest assured, you can do it yourself. You can do it with regular hand tools, not a problem. But we're going to go ahead and move on to other things because I have tires to mount, and I'm probably not going to show that. It's pretty boring. But we'll be working on some other things because I do know that I have to do a lower control arm on the driver's side to have on this ball joint. But I will make safe. Okay. But anyway, this is Mac T, and this is how I do shocks.
Thank you for watching, and remember to like my videos and subscribe to Mac T.